year round. There's issues with the amount of energy that these things use, and we've learned a lot from that, and when we do go forward to doing a larger site, we'll know that kind of information and we won't make that mistake again. But the basis of this project was art. The grant that we got was an art grant, and it was about experimenting, and we sort of never shied away from the facts about this project. On the roof, we've got the chickens, so we've got 4 chickens up there. It's north facing, so it's an ideal situation for them to be in, because we can't grow any plants up there because it doesn't get enough sun. And it's also very good because the foxes can't get up there. And then in the back room, outside, we've got the polytunnel, which allows us to do some of our events because it's our largest space within the whole building. And it allows us to do larger plants as well, like brassicas and broccolis and broad beans and things like that we can't actually grow within the building. But the idea of the project was that we were going to use all the different food technology, old and new, and sort of play them against each other, so we know how much energy one system uses against another one, and it's allowed us to move forward with future ideas on farm.
I think that's one of the things we learned from the space as well, is that when you're doing a project like this, you've got this big idea, how much food can we grow in a shop, which is what drives you forward, and it's probably what drives you forward as a person, but you've also got the realities of kind of, next year we've got to pay rent. How do we do it? And how do we kind of gear a space like that so it can do that? And that's where I think we've, a lot of thought's gone into that. And it's not really what you want to be doing. You want to be messing around with plants, but you've got to kind of get the meeting room booked up and kind of get people in using the desk space upstairs and drive the space. And that requires a real kind of attention to detail and a real equal enthusiasm for it. And it's quite nice when you find someone that you love working with, because you can start to share some of those kind of roles and sort of be multitasking. The main source of revenue for our shop, though, which is really important to us, is food. And so it's people coming in, eating the food we grow. We grow about 60% of the food of lettuce and herbs on the site, and the rest we source from local areas. We've got a very simple supply chain we've created, not this convoluted idea of growing in one country and getting an aeroplane and then putting it in refrigeration for 2 weeks and then packaging it and putting it in your basket. But actually, Kristen, our lovely cafe manager, walking upstairs, harvesting basil and turning it into pesto for your sandwich. And this is the key idea that we've learned and we want to replicate across the city.
I'll flip back now. Damn. The image that you just saw was, the initial idea for the project was to galvanise local people, and then without asking for it, we've had quite a lot of international attention for it, and we've been really surprised by how people are always coming back with the same stories, no matter what country they're coming from, whether that's Manila or Vanilla, wherever. It's they've all got the same issues of a depleting high street, concerns about where their food's coming from, that it is getting flown around the world, and it's sort of like testament, I think, that we have had this kind of exposure. And it sort of shows that, it's not a problem in this country, it's a problem all over the world.
And I think what that's kind of taken us to is also being, because of the attention we've had placed on us, just being damn sure that we get right what we're doing and paying a real attention to detail. And whilst you might come in there and have a sandwich, actually what that sandwich enables us to do is research. And we've commissioned pieces of research around the work we do, so that people can actually tell us if it is genuinely a more sustainable way of growing things. And the issues that have come up in any urban agriculture project you see, you should question our massive energy use through lighting. How do you deal with that? What can you do? And also, I think, how important is that small supply chain? And we're finding it is very important. That local supply chain is essential. Do you want to flick on next?
We've done a series of satellite projects which are helping us grow more food, because we are limited on the amount of food we can grow within Farm Shop because it is a small space. So one of the projects is with a mental health charity down the road on Steen Street, and with the RSA and some of our funding, we've put in a load of hydroponic system within their building, and they're growing a load of basil for us, and they're just growing more than we ever did in Farm Shop. It's quite amazing, and it's been really good sort of seeing how we can expand the Farm Shop to other sites, and we can all sort of help each other out.
This is finally just another project with a similar satellite project where we're growing lots of food. But I think as we're sort of drawing the talk to an end, really, I think what it all comes back to us is like, keep experimenting, keep trying things out, don't be afraid to fail, and admit those failings. And what we've found is, we've gone from, if you remember those plants at the beginning, like that horrible Thai basil, actually we think to something better, which we can grow in very, very large quantities in Hackney. Of our Thai basil, which was harvested this morning, literally, sort of 10 minutes away, well, 100 yards from here almost.
Yeah.
We've gone from kind of very boring plasticky eggs, produced in a place you would never want to visit, to
Lauren Hardy of the egg world. So, and you never. I just went down to the farm shop today. It wasn't. I didn't pick out like 2 of the smallest and biggest, but that is just generally what happens. You never know what you're going to get, and that is a whopper.
And so I guess to end it all, we hope you can carry on this journey with us and help us farm the city.
I was just wondering, how long did it take for you guys to break even? And my other question was, are most of your customers local and returning customers, or do you have a really wide base of people who come?
We actually broke even quite quickly because we had very low startup costs. In that I think we spent £5,000 developing the farm shop up to kind of opening, which is quite low and that was the grant from Hackney Council. So I think we broke even in sort of like six months or something like that, because we had a massive building program before, and so many people came down to help that it was a very cheap process doing it, and actually that was one of the fundamental things. And we also, those people who helped participate in creating it became the customers afterwards. In terms of what we sell and sort of who comes there, we have people coming from all around the world to kind of visit the shop, but our core constituency is people coming for lunch, who come in, buy a sandwich, and we've had some really nice accolades around our food, and people do genuinely enjoy coming there. It's a bit of an arresting space, so you've got to be brave and sort of go over the threshold, because someone might be kind of carrying down a big bag of corn past you up to the chickens or something when you just want to have lunch. And so it's really varied, and it's really mixed.
I just want to say as well, like starting the project up, we were very fortunate. We did have £6,000 from Hackney Council, but we also, the value of the project probably went up to about £100,000 with the amount of sponsorship that we got through all the different companies, and that is partly due to timing, the fact that no one had done this before from what we knew, and there was hydroponic companies wanted to sort of shift their perception a little bit, and aquaponics wanted to get their ideas out because no one really knew about it in cities. And I mean, the aquaponics in our place is the first time there's been any aquaponics in London. So it's kind of, we were lucky with that timing.
I work in IT in the startup industry, and it's quite interesting to listen to the way you guys are talking. There's something called a lean startup methodology, which is, I was reminded quite a lot about the kind of stuff you guys are talking about, in that it's all about doing small experimentation. So you have a hypothesis, you go out and you test it, you kind of crowdsource information, if it's a good answer, you kind of move and develop on it, or you kind of scrap and do something else. Did you guys have any kind of methodologies that you started up? Did you have any kind of game plans, or was it just kind of off the cuff, just playing with ideas that you guys were doing?
Really was actually quite off the cuff. I think we did. I mean, I've always been interested. Well, I've been interested in social enterprise for quite a long time, I suppose, and so we're both interested in making ideas last. So even though it's art initiated, how do you make your idea last? If you believe in it, you want it to. And so we did sort of, I know, business planning early on and stuff like that. Yeah. But it was always driven by a creative vision. It was like, right, we're putting the chickens here. What's that mean? Oh, maybe someone wants to sit there and have a meeting next to it. It was that kind of process. And I think it was it's just been entirely experimental, and it could have gone very, very wrong. I think there's a couple of key decisions we made, which were quite lucky, but if you don't try, you're not going to get, you just got to keep trying. I think the other benefit that we talk about a lot is that arts is probably one of the few ways into enabling you to explore that. So if we'd gone and tried to get a business grant, we'd have had to write down all of our ideas in advance. We'd have written down everything, Yeah. Everything would have to be tied down absolutely to the absolute letter. With art, they say, have a building for a year, see what you can do, and we ended up creating something that lasted. And
Art is also very forgiving as well, because it's kind of like you're allowed to experiment, and if something goes wrong, it's like part of the artistic experimentation. So we always use that as a falling back on. But and I think even though we're always coming from an art background, it's also about function. We want that artwork to have some kind of function. We want people to be able to use it. and we want it to sort of have some relationship with people. We don't want people just to look at it. We want to have some kind of interaction.